Alright, this is the General GNCC 2021 Super Senior 45B. For the first time in 7 years, I'm not riding a 450 Yamaha. I'm actually on a 2021 YZ250X that I put a 300 kit in and a Panthera electric start. Been trying to get used to it. It's very different than the 450. I'm not exactly sure what happened to me here on the start. Actually, I think what happened is I hadn't cleared the bike out. It starts immediately, but it just bogged the whole way to the corner, and it's honestly never done that before. So I was trying to figure out what was going on. As soon as I hit the gas here, though, it took off. Things were normal, but I didn't get the start that I wanted to. I was hoping to give Chuck a run for his money since he gets the whole shot all the time. I discovered while I was editing the video that when I'm seated or just crouched a little bit, the view is not terrible. However, when I'm standing upright, it pretty much points down at the handlebars and the front fender, right there, and then back to seated. So that's a good way to tell whether I'm standing or sitting. So I'm trying to gain back some spots that I lost off the bad start here. Track was great. It had pretty good flow to it. As you'll find out here in a little bit, there were some wet spots, some muddy spots. About the 30-minute mark, I just apparently chose a bad line and wasn't an area that looked like it was real muddy, but I sunk. It's the first time I've ever been buried like that in all the years I've raced, and it cost me my race. But in the meantime, I was not riding too bad. Like I said, still getting used to the two-stroke. This doesn't have a recluse either. The 450 had a recluse. Made it nice on the old man. So we're going along at a pretty good pace, trying to be patient and not force the issue and put me or somebody else in a bad position, trying to pass where there was a little bit of space and not take any bad chances. If you saw my video from Iron Man, you'll know I ended the season last year with a broken collarbone. Required a plate and 14 screws, but we're healed up from that now. It was also hard to get used to watching the video. Hearing all the other bikes, you know, in the 4 strokes, I was always real easy to tell when I was giving it gas. Everything else drowns out this 2 strokes, so I don't hear it that much unless I'm really up on the pipe or there's nobody else around me. There was just enough room to sneak by him. I was hoping he wasn't going to pick his bike up too soon so I couldn't get by. Most all these spots here were, or these passes and getting past were pretty much all for position. There was a few others from other classes mixed in with us, but most of us are in the same class. Super competitive class. All of us seem to be pretty equal. It's just whoever picks a good line or a bad line has a little mistake. You can stay off the ground and pick good lines most of the time you're going to have a pretty good finish. Coming up here to scoring, I don't think I'd ever seen it backed up quite like this. I don't know why they were having everybody go through so slow. It was dusty, it wasn't super muddy, numbers weren't hard to read. With all of us just front to back, or separated by a few people, this was just agonizing to go through there that slowly. Hopefully that doesn't happen anymore. Toward the end of the race, it got better where you come through like normal and it wasn't backed up quite so much. So I wasn't a big fan of the chest mount. I didn't like the view and how much the bike was moving and the view was changing. I liked my under the visor mount. I never did like it on top of the helmet. It grabbed too many limbs and trees and stuff, especially with my height. But I felt like under the visor was about as safe as you could get. But the AMA said nothing attached to helmet, so I wasn't even going to do videos anymore. My buddy talked me into trying the chest mount, and so this is the first race with the chest mount on. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I'll see what the feedback from this is. If everybody likes it, we'll continue to make videos. Hopefully I can get better at narrating them, and hopefully I can get better finishes too. For this section, and really for the first few miles after the finish, it tightened down. It got real rutted. There were several lines, I should say several ruts you could follow, but it wasn't, I guess it was flowy if you're really good at riding ruts. If you're not, you weren't as fast. I'm not the best rider when it comes to ruts in the world. Sometimes I do okay. I use okay loosely. Definitely not great. That hill, everybody drug water up on, of course, made it real slick, and it was rocky, but never did have any trouble coming up that hill. As long as you weren't really on the gas hard and spinning, you really didn't have any trouble. One of those that got by me there was for a spot in my class. The other was not. So I knew I needed to do some work here and get the spot back. Here in a little bit I do see somebody spin out that was in my class, so I did get back by. So I maintained my spot okay for the most part until I get stuck in the mud hole. And I don't know why in the world I was looking on out ahead, not paying attention, and I ran right smack dab into that tree. Thankfully, it wasn't too big a tree. I was able to just back up and take off, and it didn't cost me much time. But I couldn't have hit it any better if it had a bullseye on it. These ruts, especially coming out of the areas like that, some of the soft places in the woods, they just continually got deeper and deeper as the day went. There were some places where there were literally dozens of ruts and paths to try to get around, trying to pick the right one, not be one of the people that gets buried. I unfortunately got buried in one before it turned into a bad place. You'll see I just come to a screeching halt here in a little bit. I was paying attention enough to catch that line there. That helped me at least gain one spot. I've been waiting for a while for a good opportunity to get around this guy. I saw all the ruts there. He went to the right, so I took the left, and it worked out pretty good. He had a little bobble there, I think, helped me out an awful lot. That did get me by here where I could get after it for just a little bit. I want to say the 250, but it's a 325. It does, being two-stroke, it does seem to handle better than what the 450 did. Turns a little easier, quicker. It's a lot of fun to ride. It's just very different than the 450. So it's going to take me some getting used to. But the sections where I can get out where I don't really have anybody in front of me, and I can just kind of ride, pick my own lines, and not be limited. I was able to really get in a pretty decent flow a few different times.
Bad line.
You heard me say bad line there. I just wasn't watching far enough ahead and paying attention. That ended up being the way outside line. There was much better inside line there. I just wasn't watching far enough ahead. this short single track section was a lot of fun. It was real flowy. Certain parts were a little bit tight, other parts weren't. It's pretty nice riding on the undisturbed ground. So it was a real shame that in about 20 seconds here, I hit this mud and it pretty much puts an end to my race. I was stuck there for 15 minutes. I literally had to get on my hands and knees and dig one handful of mud at a time out from the rear tire so that I could get it lifted up. I've never been hung up like this before in my life. On the left, it looked pretty bad. The ruts there were getting pretty deep. This looked like there were 2 tracks through it. I would jump through there and it just stopped instantly. It wouldn't move, even down at first, revving it, it would just bog. I couldn't get it to move. Pretty helpless feeling. Once I did get it out, got the mud cleaned out from it, I did go ahead and finish the race. Rode mostly to get some practice time on the bike, also hoping that some people, maybe they had some trouble with their bike, got hung up, maybe was able to pick up a few spots, but unfortunately everybody else looks like they had a pretty decent race, and I still finished pretty much toward the tail end. And I guess this will be a throwaway race for me. We'll see you at the next race. Let me know how you like the chest mount.